So hello everyone, good evening to all of you. Thank you so much for spending your Wednesday evening with us. Salamat po sa pag-feedback. Now, clear naman yung audio on your end. And, di ba, last Sunday, aside na birthday ni Mama Mary, so for those Roman Catholics, so we celebrated last Sunday as well. We also celebrated actually the Grandparents' Day. Sino ba dito sa mga attendees ang nag-celebrate ng Grandparents' Day? Type me. Type me or ME. Kasi kami, we celebrated our Grandparents' Day. So, not my grandparent, but the grandparents of my kids. So, we treat our parents no for a lunch. So, that was just a simple celebration. Yan. So, I have seen na meron sa mga attendees natin na nag-treat din for their grandparents. Okay. So, for those grandparents, especially yung mga dual citizens na, it's important to secure a steady income for their retirement. Even for us, as we also prepare for our retirement years, that's why First MetroSec prepared this webinar. And good evening to all. Sounds missing po ba? Let me just check again. Type C if clear po ako. Okay, great. Thank you so much. Oh, nawala pala ako kanina. Okay. Let me just introduce myself. By the way, I am Monat. Mahina. Oh. Sige. Lakasan ko na lang boses ko. Hopefully, better. By the way, I am Monat Pangatungan, Visayas Business Development and Market Education Officer of First Metro Securities. It is the stock brokerage arm of the Metrobank Group. So the licenses that's actually flashed on the screen. This means that I am licensed to talk about stocks, UITF, mutual funds, and bonds. And I have been in First Metro Securities for 2 years, but I have known First Metro Securities since college days ko ba. So for over a decade already, as I have joined the stock trading competition organized by the First Metro Group and the Philippine Stock Exchange. So since then, I have started my investing journey. And I have also seen the consistency of First Metro Securities in promoting financial literacy and creating awareness on investment opportunities to empower us individuals like you and even me and institutions attain their financial goal. And we envision to be the largest and most trusted investment solutions partner here in the Philippines. And it is my honor and pleasure to serve as your host/speaker for this evening. So just like this event, we used to conduct our sessions on site and face-to-face. However, due to pandemic, we shifted to a webinar format. But we are glad. On-off sounds. Hold lang. I'll plug. Okay. So let me just try again. So we are regularly invited by public, private, and academic institutions. That's on top of our monthly webinars that we conduct here in First Metro Securities. Let me know if my audio is better now. Okay, thank you so much. So, audible. Okay. Iba-iba yata ang feedback with other attendees. But hopefully it gets better later. Clear naman daw on their end. Okay. So kahit saang sulok ng mundo, pwede pa rin kayong makasali sa mga webinar series natin. And as year to date, we have conducted a total of 300 talks from personal finance to investment, even market outlook and market updates. And you would actually wonder why we do what we do here in First Metro Securities. The very reason is that we want to educate as many Filipinos as possible because based on the BSP Financial Inclusion Survey last 2021, 11% of the Filipinos experience financial scams. So with financial literacy, we can lessen these numbers. And only 1% of the Filipinos invest in stocks, bonds, and funds. So with financial literacy, we can increase these numbers or increase the number of Filipino investors investing in legitimate investments, especially for retirees or those preparing for retirement. That's why for tonight, we shall talk about bonds, a steady income source for a secure retirement. And specifically, we will talk about the basic of bonds, bond investing, strategies, and what to avoid. The role of bonds in your retirement plan and the future of bond investing. So first question, where do people take loan? Kindly type it in the chat box. Where do people take loan? Sa ibang tao ba? Sa mga bangko lang ba? Ayun. So, most of you answered banks. Tapos isa may nag-answer magulang. Meron din ditong Bombay, 5-6. Okay, so for individuals, it's always better, no, to take loan in legitimate financial institutions kasi para sakto lang or within the right na interest rate ang ibibigay sa inyo. Whereas kung sa mga Indian or Bombay, malalaking interest yun. How about with the government and corporations? Where do corporations or government take loans? So I have seen here answers, banks, financial institutions, public, us, okay. So, yeah, tama. So, the banks actually, the government or the corporation requires a substantial amount of money. So they always refer to financial institutions for the corporation. Well, as for the government, they can actually source foreign borrowings obtained through loans secured from foreign na financial institutions like Asian Development Bank, International Bank of Reconstruction Development, Overseas Economic Cooperation Fund. And as to the domestic borrowing of the national government, they actually auction treasury bills, notes, and bonds to the public. So that's us. So pwede tayong magpautang sa gobyerno. And that is through bonds. Not only government, but even corporation. Diba? So bonds are investments that provide a regular stream of income. 'Di ba pag tayo nagpapautang or pag ang bangko nagpapautang, may interest na binabayaran ang borrower. Kaya ang government or corporation nagbabayad din ng interest sa mga bondholders. So either quarterly, semi-annually, or annually. Kaya ang bonds are investments that provide regular streams of income. And bond served as debt securities or simply utang. So it has fixed interest payment and term kung kailan babalik or ibabalik ng borrower ang perang hiniram on a specific maturity date. So parang ganito yung sa bond. So yung government, may certain projects sila which cost around 5 billion pesos. And based on Republic Act 245 and Republic Act 1000, the government can actually borrow money from the public to finance their different projects. So with that, they issue bonds to the public investors. So the money given by the public investor or the investors actually lend the money to the government. So this serves as the funding of the government. And in return, the government gives interest, either quarterly, semi-annually, or annually, and of course, pay back the money that they borrowed to the investing public on a specific date. And why do they issue bonds, whether corporate ba or government bonds? So for corporations, let's say, most reasons bakit sila na-raise ng money through bonds. First, they fund their large projects. So bonds actually provide a way to finance major projects that require significant amount of money upfront. So for example, yung mga government may use bond for infrastructures, building roads, bridges, and schools. Second, for corporation, they use the issuance of bond to manage their cash flow. So sometimes businesses need to manage their cash flow. So if a company anticipates a large expense in the future, they issue bond to raise the necessary funds in advance. And third, they see that it is lower in terms of cost of capital. So compared to equity financing, like selling stocks, issuing bonds offer often lower cost on capital. So this means the interest payments on the bonds are typically less than the dividends a company would have to pay to the shareholders. And fourth reason, it actually preserves ownership of a certain company. So when a company issues bond, it doesn't give any ownership or stake in the company. So unlike issuing equity, which dilutes the ownership of existing shareholders. So whereas a government, the Bureau of the Treasury, it is the issuer of the government securities or simply the borrower. And these regulatory bodies, sa baba, we have this Securities and Exchange Commission. So they serve as the principal regulatory body of the Philippine capital market. So they oversees the issuance, trading, and disclosure requirements of bonds. So they actually ensures the compliance of the applicable laws and regulation protecting the investors' interests. And we also have here Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas or BSP. So as the central bank, they play a significant role in regulating financial system, including yung bond market. So they set monetary policy, they supervises the banks, and ensure financial stability. Although hindi naman sila directly involved in regulating bond issuances, their policies and action can actually indirectly affect the bond market. And the last one, we have the PDS Group or the Philippine Dealing and Exchange Corporation. So it is considered the self-regulatory organization or SRO for the Philippine bond market. So parang equivalent siya ng Philippine Stock Exchange sa stocks. So sa bonds, we have the Philippine Dealing and Exchange Corporation. So they set the rules, the regulation, and the guidelines for the market participants, including the issuers, investors, and as well as the brokers. So they also operate in an organized secondary market for debt securities. So these regulatory bodies work together to ensure a fair, efficient, and transparent bond market in the Philippines. So we need to understand the bond. So here are the key components of bonds. First one is issuer or simply ito yung nangungutang. The entity that issues the bond. So it can be the government or the government or corporation. Second is the par value or the face value. The face value of the bond, it's actually the amount the issuer promises to repay at maturity. So ito yung babayaran at the end of the term. Third is the coupon rate. The interest rate that the issuer will pay to the bondholder. So ito yung interest na promise ng issuer na ibibigay niya sa mga bondholder. And fourth one, we have here coupon dates. So this refers to the date when bibigyan or when magbabayad ang issuer sa mga investing public. Fifth, we have issue price. So this is the price at which the bond is initially sold to investors. So it can be at par value, below par value or discounted, or above par value or at a premium. And we have here yield to maturity. So it's a measure of a bond's total expected return if held until maturity. So tinitake into account dito ang bonds purchase price, ang coupon payments, and yung time to maturity. And lastly, we have here maturity date, the date when the principal amount of the bond is due for repayment. And how do you earn from bonds? Actually, dalawa. Parang same lang din sa stocks. The first one is interest or coupon. So interest coupon, interest, this is the most straightforward way of earning. So the issuer or the issuer of the bond pays periodic interest payment to the bondholder. So again, these payments can be quarterly, semi-annually, or annually, depending on the term of the bond. So trivia lang, ito pong coupon originated from the time where there is still physical na mga certificates. So these certificates had this detachable na coupon. Kukunin nila to, tapos ito yung i-represent nila sa bangko para makakuha sila ng coupon payment. So even though bonds are now primarily electronic, the term coupon has persisted as synonym for the interest payment on a bond. And second, we have here the price appreciation or the capital gain. So the price of a bond actually fluctuates in the secondary market. So if you sell a bond more than the amount you paid for it, you earned a capital gain. Conversely, if you sell a bond less than the amount you paid for it, you incurred capital loss. So what are the factors ba that will affect the prices of the bonds? So this includes interest rate change, credit worthiness, and economic condition. So let's proceed with the affordable source of stable income until maturity for the bond. So for example, you invested 100,000, tapos yung term is 5 years. Coupon rate is 5% per annum. How much do you receive every year for the interest from this bond? So makikita lang sa slide, it's actually 5,000 pesos. So, for example, if quarterly ang payout, how much do you receive quarterly for the coupon payment? You may type it in the chat box. So you have there 100,000 for your principal amount, 5% per annum, assuming quarterly payout is what? So yes, I've got here answer. Very easy lang, diba? 5,000 divided by 4, it's 1,250. So this is gross pa kasi may withholding tax na 20% ang bond. So let's try another example. Example, you have here a face value of 100,000. The term is 5.5 years. Coupon rate is 5.75. What is the coupon payment? Assuming this is annual. Okay, so the answer is 5,750. Okay, so we have your answer na net of tax 4,600. So gross amount, sorry, this should be 5,750. Wait, nag-load. There. So this should be 5,750. And then how about for bond B? 500,000. Term is 5.5 years. Coupon rate is 6.125. What is the coupon payment if annual? Okay, so may nag-answer na. Gross, it's 30,625. So, that's ganyan lang ka-easy ma-determine mo yung makukuha mo or ma-earn mo from the bond, from the interest income of the bond. Now, let's see the relationship of bond prices and interest rates. So, sinasabi nilang may inverse relationship between bond prices and interest rate. Meaning, pag tataas yung interest rates, bababa yung bond price. Or pag bababa yung interest rate, tataas yung bond price. So, let's have this example. So, for example, you have this current na bond. You are invested in this old bond at 10,000 pesos, 5.5 years, coupon rate is 5.75. Now, the coupon payment is 575. Now, there is a new bond issuance. Same amount, face value, same term is 5 years. Now, coupon rate is 4%. So, coupon payment is 400 pesos. Can you sell your current bond at a premium or at a discount? Can you sell your bond at a premium or at a discount? Yun, may nakita na akong answer. So, the existing na bond mo, yung existing na bond mo is 5.75. Now, the new bond issuance is 4%. If you will sell your current bond na 5.75, you can sell it at a premium. Kasi bumaba na yung coupon rate na binibigay for the new bonds. So, di ba? May inverse relationship siya. So, tataas yung price ng old bond kasi yung interest na bigayan ngayon with the new bond is lower. So, you can sell your bond at a premium in the secondary market. Next, you have this old bond, same details, 10,000 for 5.5 years at 5.75%. Coupon payment is 575. Now, the new bond with different term and different rate, coupon payment is at 600. Will you sell it or can you sell it at a premium or at a discount? Okay. So, you can actually sell it at a discount. So, liliit ang value ng bond mo. Kasi naman, mas attractive sa mga new investors na kumuha ng 6% compared sa 5.75% na existing bond mo. Kaya to attract buyers, you need to lessen the amount. Kaya discounted siya. Again ha, kasi may nakita akong wrong answer. So, with the old na bond, the coupon rate is 5.75. So, there is a new bond na 6%. So, if you are selling your 5.75% na bond versus may competitor ka na new bond at 6%, so, parang automatic na kukuha yung investor ng mas mataas yung coupon payment o coupon rate or coupon payment, which is the 6%. Para maka-attract ka ng mga buyers sa 5.75% na coupon rate mo, you will lower the amount or you will lower the selling price of your bond. So, you sell it at a discount. So, malulugi ka. Clear po ba? Type C if clear. Okay, thank you. Next, the common types of bonds. We have here government bonds and corporate bonds. So, yung issuer, government, yung isang issuer, corporation. So for the government securities, so based on Republic Act number 1000, na authorizing na pwedeng mangutang ang government through the investing public para mag-finance ng mga different projects. So for the government, they either issue treasury bills. These are referring to government securities na less than 1 year. Now, yung may 91 days, 182 days, 364 days. So, parang short term lang siya. Whereas treasury bond, it's more than a year. So, it can go as far as 25 or even 30 years. So, sa treasury bond, you earn through interest income. Whereas sa treasury bills, discounted siya. So, for example, depende sa bank kasi may 50,000 na in-offer sila na treasury bill or 500,000. So, if you avail for a treasury bill, for example, yung face value is 50,000 and discounted siya by 5%. So, meaning, para maka-avail ka ng 50,000 na treasury bill, need mo lang bayaran ng around 47,500. So, parang naka-advance na yung interest na makukuha mo kasi discounted na yung binayaran mo. Whereas the treasury bond, periodic income, periodic interest yung ma-receive mo. And both are issued by the government. Treasury bonds, usually 500,000 yung minimum na amount. But good thing, the government actually considered the general public and encouraged the general public na mag-invest sa retail treasury bond. So instead of 500,000, we can now invest for as low as 5,000 pesos for the peso and $200 for the dollar. So yung latest na na-offer na retail treasury bond was RTP 30 last February 2024. So 6.25% yung interest na binigay dito. Ito namang RDB2 or Retail Dollar Bond 2 last year around October, 5.75%. Ang kagandahan sa RDB2 is that wala siyang withholding tax. Parang care of Bureau of the Treasury yung withholding tax. So 5.75%, no more, yun na yung net. Whereas yung 6.25% sa RTB30, naglalas pa ng 20% withholding tax. And then, aside from that, another mechanism by the Bureau of the Treasury or by the government to encourage more Filipinos na mag-invest sa bonds is through Premyo bonds. So, ito siya, 1 year lang ang tenure and last 2020. So, minimum na investment amount is only 500 pesos. But what is really encouraging more Filipinos to invest is that your investment is actually equivalent to a certain, parang raffle ticket siya. Kasi may prize every time you invest in the Premyo bond. So, the same as RTB, quarterly ang payout. The difference is that may premyo lang siya. Premyo bond provides mga premyo, mga raffle prizes to the investors to encourage more investors na mag-invest sa premyo bond. And next, we have this corporate bond. So this refers to the medium to long-term na debt instrument. So yung nag-i-issue is ang corporation and financial institutions para may finance yung businesses or business activities nila. So the term, around 2 to 25 years. For recently, nakikita ko lang ng mga term for the bonds is between 5-7 years. And then they have quarterly or semi-annually na payout. So can be both peso and foreign na currency. And you can actually invest in bonds through First Metro Securities. So we have here example na bond issuance, Energy Development Corporation. So we provide the indicative rates and also yung period where you can actually send your intent or reservation na gusto nyong magpa-reserve ng bond for 50,000 or 100,000, which can be done through email lang din siya. And aside from that, we also have this green bond and blue bond. So green bonds and blue bonds, these are actually investing in sustainable future. So green bonds and blue bonds are specialized types of bonds that specifically issued to finance projects that have positive environmental impact. So if you are into parang sustainability, so this is good for you. So for example, sa green bond, yung purpose ng green bonds are used to finance project that benefits the environment, such as renewable energy, energy efficiency, sustainable transportation, and pollution. So example ng green bond, we have here the BPI and also yung kanina, Energy Development Corp na bond or EDC. And then an example of blue bond, we have here Maynilad Water Services. So blue bonds are used to finance projects that protect and sustainably manage marine ecosystem. So these are actually issued to fund, for example, marine conservation efforts, sustainable fisheries management, or coastal protection projects. So with this bond alert, we actually send this to First Metrosac client. You can see here the purpose of ano ba yung use ng proceeds in raising this fund. So for example, sa Maynilad, the funds eligible for blue activities consistent to the company's sustainable finance framework. Whereas dito sa BPI, ito naman mga green na sustainable activities of BPI. So the key features of green and blue bonds, first, yung environmental impact, because the proceeds of these bonds must be used exclusively for projects with positive environment impact. And second is there is transparency because issuers are actually required to provide detailed information about how the funds will be issued, how the funds will be used, and the environmental benefits of the projects. And third, this will actually be verified as well. May verification pa. There is an independent third-party verification often used to ensure that the funds are actually being used as intended. So as specified by the use of proceeds. So why you invest in this green or blue bonds? The first is ethical investing. So investing in green or blue bonds align with ethical and sustainable investment practices. Second, there is also risk mitigation. So this bond can help investors mitigate climate-related risk. Third, there is also potential for returns. While there is no guarantee of higher returns, green and blue bonds can offer competitive yields. So aside from the issuer term, coupon rate, coupon date, and even the use of loan proceeds, you must also know the bond rating. So which you can actually see here, my part na bond rating. So in the Philippines, the independent agency na nagpo-provide ng bond rating is Phil Ratings. So Phil Ratings, they have this investment grade rating. So these are generally considered na they have strong financial position, yung issuer, and a low risk of default. So ano yung range of investment grade? Ito siya. AAA until A-. So kung ito yung nakikita nyo sa Phil rating or sa credit rating ng isang bond, then you are sure that there is a strong financial position and low risk of default for the issuer. So this is issued by an independent agency, which is Phil Ratings. And regarding this BAA plus to B-, these are actually referred as the junk grade ratings. So those are below PRSA minus this. So these ratings actually indicate or consider that the issuer have a higher risk of default and may face financial difficulties. So that's what you also need to see whenever there is bond issuance. What is the credit rating of a certain bond? So next, let's have the advantages and disadvantages of government bonds. So the advantage of government bond, first is low risk. So government bonds are often seen as relatively safe investment, particularly issued by stable government. So this is because government are less likely to default on their debt compared to corporations. And second, stable income. So government bonds typically offer a fixed interest rate, providing predictable income stream. And as to the tax benefit, usually the Bureau of the Treasury, for example, with the RDB, they explicitly say na the withholding tax is care of Bureau of the Treasury. Pero hindi siya by default. So every issuance, we may inquire if the RDB is parang wala na ba siyang withholding tax. Kasi yun yung nangyayari with the RDB2. The Bureau of the Treasury assured that there is no withholding tax na. So sila na yung parang magbabayad or yung Bureau of the Treasury na ang magte-take care ng withholding tax for the RDB2. So, yun. And the third, if diversification in the investment portfolio, or it provides, for example, yung stock portfolio mo is down. So the bond actually stabilizes your portfolio. Kasi makaka-receive ka pa rin ng fixed income coupon payment kahit down yung stock portfolio mo. So, na-offset siya. And number 4, capital preservation. Since the principal amount doesn't depreciate if held until maturity. Unless kung you sell it in the secondary market, it is subject to selling it at a premium or selling it at a discount. So the disadvantage of the government bond, first is lower returns compared to other investments like stocks. Government bonds typically offer this lower returns, but they consider that as risk-free. Second, interest rate risk. So if interest rates rise, the value of existing bonds may fall. So yung inverse relationship between interest and bonds. Third is the inflation risk. So if inflation risk, or if the inflation rate rises faster than the interest rate on your bond, the real value of your investment may decline. So yung parang goal lang talaga is to find an interest rate that is higher compared to inflation. And fourth disadvantage is the credit risk. While government bonds are generally considered safer than corporate bonds, there is still risk of default, but parang very, very little lang talaga. Especially, if ang government is weaker yung economy, that's the time na parang mataas yung risk of default. But compared to other na mga investment products, ang least risky na investment is the government bond. Now, we are going into the corporate bonds, the advantages and disadvantages of corporate bonds. So parang quite similar lang din naman with the government bond. So first of all, reliable income. There is still fixed interest payment at has higher yield compared to the government bond. So the corporate bonds offer higher yields compared to the government bonds because they are generally considered riskier investment due to the potential issuer default. Second, low risk. Compared to stocks, corporate bonds have low risk. Third, diversification. So incorporating corporate bonds into your investment portfolio, it can help diversify your holdings and also reduce overall risk. So offset lang din. Kung down yung stock portfolio mo, you still receive interest income from the bonds. So the disadvantage of corporate bonds, first one, credit risk. So the creditworthiness of the issuer is a major factor in determining the risk of a corporate factor. It is a major factor in determining the risk of a corporate bond. So a company facing financial difficulties may be unable to meet its debt obligation. Baka mahirapan magbayad for the interest payment. Second is the interest rate risk. So if interest rate rises, doon naman yung bond value or your market price ng bond decreases. So again, inverse relationship. And third is the market risk. So the value of the corporate bonds can fluctuate due to the changes in the interest rates, economic condition, and the market sentiment. Okay, so should you invest in bonds? Should you invest in bonds? Is it a yes or no? Okay. So the very reason why you invest in bonds is that number one, it provides for first-time investors who want to start with low-risk investment, this is very suitable. Second, if you're looking to add low-risk, medium to long-term options to offset the riskier investment like stocks. Number three, who want periodic income to help their household expenses. So pagtulong din sa pambayad ng mga expenses mo every month. Or number four, retired individuals who want additional periodic income. Or those mga individuals preparing for their retirement. So we will focus on the fourth reason, which is retired individuals who want additional periodic income. Okay, next slide. According to the latest Philippine Statistics Authority na survey, Philippines has around 7.6 million Filipinos, age 60 years old and above, in which 20% are covered by either SSS or GSIS. And the remaining 80% are actually financially unprepared. So imagine 80% of the senior citizens are actually unprepared for their retirement. Pero wala ka ng source of income once you're retired. And sharing with you the average monthly pension. Sharing with you the average monthly pension for GSIS, which is 18,525, whereas SSS provides 5,123. Do you think this is enough once you retire? Is this enough once you retire? Is 18,525 or 5,123 enough for you? Okay. So, marami reaction na no talaga. So, for most of us, these are not enough in meeting old age needs. Before, when I was still in a bank, na naririnig ko talaga yung mga complaints ng SSS pensioner na yung pension na na-receive nila is not enough for their mga needs. No? Hindi ka sufficient for their food, mga necessities, how much more for their medical expenses. And the sad reality is that yung mga Filipinos, they actually set aside only 3.6%, 3.6 month worth of income for their retirement, way below the regional average of 2.9%. So compared with our other Asians, 2.9 years yung worth of income na parang sinisave nila for their retirement. Versus us Filipinos, it's only 3.6 months worth of income. So there is really a need for us to change this mindset. And in terms of expectation, Filipinos believe that saving equivalent to 2.1 years worth of personal income would be enough for the retirement. But actually, this is the lowest expectation in Asia with a regional average of 12%. Parang ang layo, no? 3.6 months worth of monthly income for your retirement versus 2.9% with the other Asian na mga peers. Yung expectation with other Asian peers, it's 12 years worth of income. Whereas us Filipino, our expectation is only 2.1 years. And considering the current life expectancy for Filipinos, it's 71.79. Or let's just round it off at 12 years So after you reach 60 years old, for 12 years, ano ba yung pera na magsusustain sa iyo? GSIS lang ba or SSS? So there is a need for us to prepare for our retirement. So how will we know how much to prepare for retirement? So here, we will consider expected retirement duration. So assuming lang yung gagamitin natin is life expectancy age, which is 71.79, based yan sa UN na survey, minus the retirement age of 60. So we have 11.79 years of expected retirement duration. And let's say 31 yung 30,000 per month yung current expenses mo ngayon. And then you are 30 years old, you still have 30 years to prepare for your retirement, and you are still considering na yung 30,000 na value ngayon, yun din yung ini-expect mo after 30 years. So, magkano na ba yung 30,000 after 30 years? So, 30,000 times 12 for annual na expenses, that's 360,000. So, we check for the future value of your yearly expenses. So, we get it by dividing present value over 1 plus the inflation rate, assuming at 3%, and then the number of years. So we have here a total of 873,814.49. Meaning, yung 360,000 mo ngayon, after 30 years, yung equivalent value na is 873,814.49. So para malaman mo kung ano yung target fund mo or target retirement fund, you multiply it by the expected retirement duration, which is 11.79 times your future value of yearly expenses na 873,814.49. So yung total na parang target retirement fund mo is 10,302,272.80. So you have 30 years to accumulate that amount para ma-sustain mo yung 30,000 na monthly expenses mo. Kaya ba yon? Type yes if kaya. Let me see feedback. Kaya ba? Ayun, positive. Yes. So sa next slide, hindi ko kayo pakukomputin, no? Kasi there is an easier way for us to get the target retirement fund. You just need to scan this QR code and download this application. We call it financial calculator. Because we will just input the data, like yung term, yung monthly or annual na expenses, instead of us computing for our retirement fund how much we need. There. So once you have downloaded this application, you may just screenshot this application, rather this QR code. So once you have downloaded this mobile app, you just need to click retirement or 401k, tapos click retirement planner. And then inflation matters. What you just need to do is input 360,000 for the annual na expenses, inflation rate of 3%, and your retirement age na 60. So with that, oh, sorry, I'll show again the QR code. Ay, eto. Give you a few seconds to screenshot this. Okay, sige. So the financial calculator, once you have downloaded, click retirement or 401k, and then retirement planner. Tapos, inflation matter. So instead of us computing manually, we just need to input the annual expenses of 360,000 or the 30,000 times 12, inflation rate at 3%, retirement age of 60. So assuming you are now 30 years old, so the equivalent of 360,000, 30 years after, it's 873,814.49. So at 30 years old, what is the future value of your 360,000 with 3% na inflation rate? Retirement age at 60 years old. So ito siya, yung future value niya. And then, for you to get the retirement fund, target retirement fund, we just multiply this with your retirement expectancy na duration. So 11.79 times 873,814.49. So you get here a total of 10,302,272.80. Now, sa mga nagsabi, paano daw natin makukuha yung 10 million in the 30 years of time? Okay. So if you start 30 years old, you still have 30 years of investing. You need to set aside 10,859.38 pesos with the assumption of growth rate na 6%. So I have provided here sa other side, sa right column, yung age-based asset allocation, meaning 70% nito for stocks and then 30% for bonds. So if hindi naman siya swak sa investment profile nyo, okay lang din naman na hindi nyo siya gayahin. Kasi quite aggressive ito. So now for us to know how much you will save, no? Sorry. We need to determine pala the 40 years. Ito. So, kanina, 30 years old. So, at 30 years old, your monthly saving is 10,859.38. Sorry, di ko pala siya napakita paano kunin. So, again, so you go back to retirement and then retirement planner. Pero ngayon, instead of inflation matter, you go to set goal for retirement. Set goal for retirement. Input your target na retirement fund, which is the 10 million. Your target na annual growth rate, which is 6%. And your retirement age na 60. So kanina, sinabi natin na at 30 years old, you need to save monthly 10,859.38 for you to achieve 10,302,000 at the age of 60. Now, if you consider na, ay, after 10 years na lang kasi may mga goals pa ako. So, you started at 40 years old. Now, you need to save 23,338.57 for you to achieve the 10 million. So with 40 years old, suggested na age-based asset allocation is 60% stocks, 40% bond. So now, with 50 years old, you just need to scroll din sa baba at 50 years old. So yung equivalent niya na dapat monthly na sinaset aside to invest is 65,134.39. With age-based asset allocation na 50-50, 50% stocks, 50% bond. And kung at 60 years old, pero wala ka ng time para mag-set aside ng money. Kaya dapat yung retirement fund mo na makukuha is 10,302,272.80 para ma-achieve mo yung goal investment fund mo. So assuming yan yung nakuha mo na fund, retirement fund, is the 10 million enough? Is it enough? Kindly type yes or no. Okay. Yan. May nakita tayong answer, hindi daw. Sige. So the 10 Depende sa lifestyle. Pero di na nag-answer ng no. Okay, so assuming we'll crunch the numbers sa 10 million ha. So yung 30,000 mo, after 30 years, yung equivalent na annual expense is 72,817. Then you still need to consider inflation every year. So, nakuha mo tong 10 million, assuming ito yung retirement fund na nakuha mo. Retirement pay from your company. Ang laki. 10 million. Kahit hindi ka nasi-save monthly. So, every year, nagde-deduct yung annual expenses mo. Sabihin lang natin, wala kang ginawa sa pera mo na 10 million. Nakatenga lang siya. And then, every year, nagde-deduct yung expenses mo plus may 3% na inflation rate pa. So, at 71 years old, mawawala na yung 10 million mo. Negative ka pa by 889,364. Kaya, importante na you still need to invest your money. So, we have this simulation lang na, for example, your 10,302,000, 60% lang yung in-invest mo sa bond. Sabihin natin, RTB 30 at 6.25% per annum. You have here with 5 years na term. So, yung interest income mo yearly, so what I did is just 10,302 times 0.60 tapos times 0.0625%, kaya nakuha ko ang 386,000. So that's 386,000 or that is 32,194.60 per month. That's on top of the SSS or GSIS na nakukuha mo. At least hindi natutulog yung pera mo. Another simulation, what if I have invested 80% of my fund in the bond? So with 80% at 6.25%, it's now giving me 515,113.64 or 42,926.40 per month on top of my GSIS and SSS. And ideal din ang bond because there is capital preservation. Wala ka ng parang risk profile for mga retirees ha. Or yung risk profile mo is not intended na for mga high risk na mga investment. So much better talaga na dun siya sa may capital preservation. Most of your investment na, especially sa mga retirees, with the bond market. Yes, gross po yan. So, times 0.8. So, for example, hindi ko siya na-run yung number sorry. But 42,926.14. Pwede niyo po pa akong tulungan. What is the net pay? Net withholding tax of the 42,926.14. There. You will still receive that's 34,340.19 every month on top of your GSIS or SSS. Okay? Clear po ba? Yes. So, assuming then to, Hana, ang other risk din na may encounter mo, what if after 5 years, yung available na lang na bond na pwede mong ma-invest is at 4.5%, 4%. So, okay then na i-diversify mo yung mga government bonds na in-invest mo. Parang hindi yun the same time sila mag-end yung term. Kasi may reinvestment risk din. So I will also share another way to compute your retirement fund. This is what we call 4% rule. Straightforward lang siya. So the 4% rule, it is often discussed among early retirees. It's a safe withdrawal rate. So yung math behind this is that 4% rule is the theory that you can withdraw 4% of your retirement portfolio each year without running out your money. So, for example, diba, annual expense, yung future value ng annual expense natin, 873,814.49, you multiply it by 25. for the 4% rule. So you need to achieve 21,845,362.25. So assuming this amount of money you invested in an investment instrument that is only giving 4%, so yung ma-receive mo every year is 873,814.49, or that is 72,817.88. But the 21 million, it's bigger compared sa isa nating na-compute na amount earlier. And you can actually check the monthly savings. Hindi ko lang siya na-run sa numbers dito sa calculator as to how much you need to save every month in order to achieve the 21 million. Hold on, let me just try. Okay. So with 21 million na target rate mo, target na retirement fund mo at 6% return, at 30 years old, you actually need to set aside 49,488.04. At 25, if 25, so if 25 years old, you need to set aside 180.77. So sa rule of 4%, ito po yung gamit talaga na multiplier in terms of the number of years. So fixed na siya. So 873, or the annual expense, times 25 years. So if 35 years old, check ko lang. 35 years old, you need to set aside 78,211.43. Okay? May I know if clear po ba? Type C if clear, type U if unclear. Before I proceed to the last part ng session. Okay, I have seen here na unclear. So sa 4% na rule, yung formula na ginagamit is future value, annual expense, times 25. Para makuha mo yung investment needed mo for the retirement. So, 873,814.49. Ito yung na-compute natin na future value kanina for the 360,000 annual. Times, we multiply it with 25. So, yung target na retirement fund natin gamit yung 4% rule is 21,845,362. And then here po, yung sa 4%, ang assumption kasi sa 4% rule, kung magwi-withdraw ka ng 4% from your retirement fund, parang hindi siya ma-depreciate for as long as you invest your retirement fund in 4% and above na investment. I hope clear po ba? So again sa 4% rule, yung formula is future annual expense times 25. Fix na yung 25 years to get the investment needed for retirement. So 873,814.49. Ito yung future value for the 360,000 times 25. So yung target natin na retirement fund gamit ang 4% rule is 21,845. 21,845,362. So, assuming you only get 4% for your interest income from the 21 million. So, yung income mo every year from the invested na retirement fund is 873,000 per year or 72,000 per month. Okay. So next thing that you will actually consider once you will invest in bond is ano yung outlook sa policy rate. So as of end of 2023, yung interest or a policy rate natin is 6.5%. Currently, we are at 6.25%, and the DBS forecast by the end of 2024, 6% na lang yung policy rate natin. So ano yung implication? Again, yung inverse relationship ng interest and the bond value. If you have invested, for example, sa akin na, I invested RTB 30 last February at 6.25%. So 6.25% yung coupon rate ko. And then at the end of the 2024 na term, 6% na lang yung policy rate. So this means na yung value ng bond ko na may 6.25% na rate, I can sell it at a premium. Now, in 2025, the forecasted policy rate is 5%. So, mas tumaas ngayon yung value ng bond ko if I will sell it in the secondary market. Kasi 6.25% yung nakuha ko. Now, in 2025, 5% lang yung possible issuances of the bond. Clear po ba? Checking the chat box if clear ba. Oh. Okay, yan, good. I've got feedback na clear daw. So another important thing to consider is that with the high interest environment right now, ideal to lock your bond investment sa high interest environment. Para within the next 3 or 5 years, mataas pa rin yung interest income mo. Kasi kung maghihintay ka by the end of 2024 or by next year na 2025, if the outlook na 5% na lang yung interest is ma-realize na 5% talaga, so lesser na yung coupon rate na makukuha mo at the end of 2024 or in 2025. So I hope it's clear. Now you can invest bonds through First Metro Sec with the Bureau of the Treasury or the Retail Treasury Bond. You need to have a First Metro Sec account. And then you need to go to the portal of the Bureau of the Treasury at www.treasury.gov.ph, and then you select the settlement bank First Metro Sec. Tapos you will be redirected sa First Metro Sec na platform. You need to log in your user credentials para mag-serve siya ngayon na mag-pay ka through First Metro Securities. After you key in or confirm and then key in your password, you will receive confirmation email. So another thing, so aside sa government bond, we also provide corporate bonds through email notification na bond alert. So this is the usual bond alert that we provide to clients. We provide the details on issue, term, minimum amount, interest payment, the indicative rate. Indicative pa siya kasi yung rate setting is on June 26 pa. And this was actually released on June 11 na email. And then here you can see the bond rating and the purpose of the proceeds. So after you have submitted your intent form, may need ka lang na i-fill out. You just need to send it online through this link or through email. Once fully allocated na yung Bureau of the Treasury, RTB, and also the corporate bond, this will reflect under bond na tab. So dito makikita mo, for example, the RTB series, and then here yung interest rate, and then yung interest payment, tapos yung maturity date. So if you still don't have a First Metro Sec account and wish to invest in bonds, you can open a First Metro Sec account through our platform via website or via First Metro Sec Go app. You just need to scan the QR code. Yung requirements needed are actually tax identification number, proof of residence, like utility bills, proof of bank account, government issued ID, and 1,000 na initial funding if you use the seminar code bonds. So aside from bonds, we are also into stocks, real estate investment trusts, exchange-traded funds, mutual funds, and UITF. So one powerful account for all of your investment needs. And feel free to connect with us in social media channels. You just search at First MetroSec. You may scan the QR code or screenshot this QR code para ma-redirect kayo sa mga different social media channels namin. And then you can visit our website at www.firstmetrosec.com.ph. And for any account requests, updates, access, concerns, and emails, just email customer service at firstmetrosec.com.ph. And I would like to invite you in our September events. So for this week, we still have September 13, securing your golden years from building a retirement fund with FMETF. And then we also have September 20, 25, and 27. And lastly, for customized, gamified, award-winning market education programs exclusively designed for your school, organization, or even public or private organization, just send us a formal invite at marketeducation@firstmetrosec.com.ph. And now I am checking the questions. Hold lang ha. So we have here a question, is there a known instance in the Philippines where the government was not able to pay back the funds the funds it borrowed from the public? So far, wala naman po. Kasi yung parang strategy with the government or even the companies is that by the time may magmamature na bond, tapos wala silang sufficient na money, their strategy is to either issue another bond or pwede ding mag-issue sila ng stocks so that they can raise sufficient money para bayaran yung investing public. So far, wala po. Wala pong nag-default, especially with the government. Next, how easy is it to sell a bond in terms of liquidity and what are the transaction charges? So, okay. So, sa Philippine Dealing Exchange, wala kasing mga retail investors. So, everything goes through with the financial institutions. So, in terms of liquidity, comparing to PSE and Philippine Dealing Exchange, mas liquid yung stocks compared to bonds. Kasi mas malalaki din ang amount of exchanges in bonds kasi financial institutions yung mga buyer and seller. As to the transaction charges, ang alam ko, it's 0.25% and another 0.0025%. So that's 0.2525% yung charge for selling. In First MetroSec, you cannot buy bond in the secondary market. It's only during initial issuance or parang initial public offering of the bonds. But you may sell it. Selling at 0.2525%. Sendan kita na link for the sample computation from our help desk. And then next, how regular are government bonds auction? Is there a predetermined schedule so that retail may avail? Wala eh. Depende talaga siya sa requirement ng government. But so far, no, yung frequency, last year, merong RTB 29, tapos this year, may RTB 30. So much better na i-ready mo na lang yung First MetroSec account mo kasi by the time na mag-issue na ng RTB or RDB, at least, pwede ka na maka-invest directly kasi activated na yung account mo. Okay, and then next, what happens if the company goes bankrupt before the bond matures. Okay. So, that's part of the credit risk. Yung parang hindi ka mababayaran kasi na-default yung corporation. But in terms of hierarchy kasi, yung babayaran talaga na una is yung mga borrower, yung mga bondholders, tapos last, yung mga stockholder. So, worst case scenario, if wala talagang funds na mabayaran, walang funds for payment yung corporation, then default na siya. So, it's part of the credit risk or default risk. Still, hold, meron pa ba dito? Ito siya from the comment section or chat box. Pag higher po yung coupon rate sa next issuance, pero you wait for the current bond to mature. Wala ka namang loss. Yes, tama. Parang paper loss lang at paper gain if you wait until maturity. Okay, so about sa Double Dragon na credit rating, ko lang siya na-check with, nasa email yun eh. F, triple A. So may nag-ask if you are, if interested it ba sa retail bond ng Double Dragon. Actually, personally, gusto ko din sana mag-invest doon sa Double Dragon kasi 8% yung premium. But na-cut off kasi ako. Parang September 5 lang, until September 5 lang yung acceptance for the Double Dragon. Okay, here. So sa email, kung hindi mo na-receive yung email notice or bond alert, the bond rating for Double Dragon is PRS AAA. Mm. Okay, so difference between bonds and preferred share or which is better. So sa bonds is that if you held until maturity, tapos gusto mo talaga na preserve yung capital mo, then you go for bonds. Pero kung gusto mo na may capital appreciation, tapos mas liquid compared to bonds, then you can go for preferred shares. Or pwede din naman, if you like, diversification na 50-50, 50% sa bonds, tapos 50% sa preferred shares. But I think based on my portfolio, parang isa lang meron akong preferred share. As to the bonds, may, may tatlo ako. So I have government and corporate na bonds. So if you're looking into both, then might as well diversify. Kasi yung isa naman, preferred share, at least may dividend ka. Yung dividend pala, only 10% yung withholding tax. Compared sa bonds na 20% yung withholding tax. Hmm. For those questions that I am not able to answer, especially andito po sa chat box, you may send me an email or you may book a one-on-one session with me through Calendly. You may just scan this QR code. Kasi I am sorry. I am really sorry. It's supposed to be 7 until 7 p.m. lang yung session, but it went overboard by 25 minutes already. And so many questions pa na I'm not able to answer each one by one. So I'll try to answer offline. But if in any case you would be interested for one-on-one session, just book a session through Calendly or just email me. Okay? There. So I'll just give you 5 seconds to scan the QR code. And then I'll ask you to provide feedback through our QR code. Okay. Sige. Here. So to our attendees, we also value your feedback. You can share your thoughts and experiences with us by scanning the QR code and answer our feedback form. So link will also be provided by our chat moderator. Your input is very essential to us to improve our services and better meet your needs. So we actually appreciate your contribution and we look forward to implementing positive changes based on your valuable feedback. So again, thank you so much, everyone, to those who attended. And I'm really sorry for going beyond the allotted time, but I hope I did not waste your time there. So once again, on behalf of First Metro Securities, I would like to express my deepest gratitude for joining us in this evening session. So I hope you have learned a lot as well in this for tonight's session. So that your insights and lessons will make your investment journey not just more profitable, but also more enjoyable. So please don't forget to provide feedback to our from the QR code for today's webinar. So we hope to see you again in our future learning events. That's on September 13th. And because over here at First Metro Securities, we put your future first. Have a great evening, everyone. Thank you so much. Bye.